What if your wife's lover tried to rob you after her affair? I'm David, 35, from Texas, and in January 2024, I caught my wife cheating with her ex, a parolee. They broke into my home to steal my safe, but now they're facing jail. Watch this wild, true infidelity story of betrayal and justice unfold. Love can blind you to the truth, like a Texas dust storm obscuring the horizon ahead. My name is David Turner, 35 years old, living in Dallas with my wife Anna. Or so I believed our life was solid in January 2024. 4 years back when we met, Anna was a reformed rebel, her wild days of bad boyfriends and bar fights long behind her. She dropped out of medical school just to spite her dad, but by the time we fell in love, she was steady, working a desk job, swearing off anything stronger than sweet tea. Her openness about her past gave me faith. We dreamed of a house, kids, maybe her finishing college one day. I thought we were a team, building something real, right in the heart of Texas. But cracks started showing, like fault lines running beneath our hardwood floors. Anna began coming home late, her excuses as thin as a longhorn shadow at noon.
"Out with friends," she'd mutter, avoiding my eyes, her phone practically glued to her hand. Her moods swung wild. One day she'd cling to me, showering kisses like I was her entire world. The next, she'd freeze me out, silent for hours, lost somewhere deep in her own head. It drove me up the wall, like trying to lasso a tornado tearing through the plains. I'm not one to let things fester, so one evening when she was all smiles, I sat her down at our kitchen table, the smell of my chili still hanging in the air. "Anna, we need to talk," I said, laying it all bare, her late nights, her cold shoulder, how it made me feel like a stranger in my own home. "We're partners," I told her firmly. "We fix things together, not let them fall apart." She stared past me, out the window at the Dallas skyline, her face blank like a West Texas prairie. My gut twisted tight, like thunder rolling in before a hill country storm. "I've been waiting to tell you something," she said, her voice low, eyes fixed on the table like it held her secrets. Those words hit me like a sucker punch to the chest. No good news ever follows a line like that. I braced myself, heart thumping like heavy boots stomping on a barn dance floor. "I'm seeing someone else," she said, voice flat like she was reading off a grocery list. "It's been a few weeks now, and I didn't know how to tell you." The room spun around me. My chili turned into ash in my stomach as I stared at her. The woman I had loved, planned a life with, was now a stranger spilling her guts. "Who is it?" I asked, voice steady but cracking like dry earth inside my chest.
She wouldn't meet my eyes, hands twisting nervously in her lap like a guilty child. "Kyle," she whispered, naming her ex, the lowlife she'd sworn was her biggest mistake. My blood ran ice cold. Kyle, the guy who dragged her through hell, landed in prison for beating a man half to death in a bar brawl. She'd called him toxic, said he'd scared her straight, pushed her to change her life. And now she was choosing him over me, over everything we'd built together. I wanted to shake her, demand why she'd torch our life for a criminal with no future. But I didn't move, didn't speak, just sat there, silent, feeling my world crumble like parched Texas clay underfoot. Anna's affair wasn't just a fling, it was a fuse, lit and hissing, ready to blow our life to pieces. And I had no clue just how much worse this storm was about to get. Some truths hit like a freight train, smashing through your life with no mercy, leaving wreckage in their wake. I'm David Turner, 35, sitting at my Dallas kitchen table in January 2024. Anna's words,
I'm seeing someone else, still ringing in my ears like a bad country song. Her affair with Kyle, her ex, a lowlife fresh off parole, wasn't just a betrayal, it was a gut punch to everything we'd built. I stared at her, the woman I'd loved for 4 years, now a stranger with guilt written across her face like graffiti on a barn wall. My heart pounded like a jackhammer, tearing up a Texas highway. But I kept my voice steady, barely holding the storm inside from breaking loose. "Why Kyle?" I asked, though I didn't want to hear it, my voice low like thunder rolling in from the plains. She looked away, her hands fidgeting, nails picking at the table like she could claw out an excuse. "He's changed," she said, voice soft but shaky, like she didn't believe it herself. "Prison fixed him, David. He's not the guy he was, not the one who hurt me." Changed? Kyle, the guy who'd beaten a man senseless in a bar, who'd dragged her through hell? I wanted to laugh, but it stuck in my throat like dust from a West Texas wind. I reminded her, "You said he was your biggest mistake." I leaned forward, eyes locked on hers. "Now you're choosing him over me? Over our life? Our plans for a house? Kids?"
Anna's eyes flicked up, wet but defiant, like a cornered animal ready to bolt. "I thought I was over him," she said, her voice cracking like thin ice on a stock tank. "When we met, I was trying to move on, using you to forget him while he was locked up." "Using me?" The words hit like a branding iron, searing my chest with a pain I couldn't shake. "My heart's with Kyle," she went on, oblivious to the knife she was twisting deeper. "We reconnected after his release. It's real, David, not some fling." Real? I wanted to scream that she was throwing our marriage away for a fantasy, a parolee with no future. But I didn't. I sat there, silent, my hands clenched under the table, nails biting into my palms. Her words were pathetic, like a bad soap opera playing out in my own damn kitchen. I thought of our joint account, the house fund we'd saved for, the life we'd planned. Kyle wouldn't give her that. He'd give her trouble, maybe a cell to match his own. "What's next?" I asked, voice cold as a January norther, cutting through her excuses. She blinked, surprised, like she expected me to beg her to stay, to fight for her. "I'm leaving," she said, standing, her chair scraping the floor like a final nail in our coffin. "Kyle's my future now."
Future? With a guy who'd traded bars for bars? I almost pitied her, but anger burned hotter. "Then go," I said, standing too, my voice hard like the oak table between us. "Get out tonight. I won't sleep under the same roof as another man's woman." Anna's eyes widened, her mouth opening like she'd argue, but no words came. "Is that it?" she asked, brow furrowed, like I had insulted her by letting her go so easy. "What more do you want?" I shot back, arms crossed, feeling the weight of 4 years collapse. "You chose Kyle. You're free to ruin your life, but not in my house." She stared, insulted, like I had stolen her thunder. But I didn't care anymore. I loved her once, more than anything, but she'd picked a criminal over me? That love was ash now, scattered like dust across the Texas plains. She packed her bags, moving slow, maybe hoping I'd crack, beg her to stay. I didn't. I sat in the living room, staring at the wall, my heart a mess, but my face stone. She tried talking, mumbling apologies, but I shut her out, my silence louder than her pleas. Kyle waited outside in his beat-up car, too lazy to help with her boxes, just nodding at me like we were pals. I stared back, cold as a rattlesnake, until they drove off into the Dallas night. Anna's affair wasn't just the end of us, it was the start of a war I didn't see coming.
Betrayal doesn't just end with goodbye. It festers, growing claws, ready to tear through your life like a Texas twister. I'm David Turner, 35, alone in my Dallas home, January 2024, after Anna's affair with her ex, Kyle, shattered our marriage like a cheap beer bottle. Her confession, "My heart's with Kyle," was bad enough,
but watching her pack her bags, hauling them to his rusty pickup, felt like a kick to the gut. I thought that was the end, that I could dust myself off, move on from her pathetic choice to chase a parolee over our dreams. But Anna and Kyle weren't done with me. They were just reloading, aiming for a bigger hit than I ever saw coming. Days after she left, the silence in the house was deafening, like the calm before a hill country storm. I threw myself into work, trying to drown out the echo of her voice, the memory of her lies sitting at our kitchen table. But my lawyer's voice cut through, sharp as a mesquite thorn, warning me to protect what was mine. "Lock your joint account," he said over the phone, his tone all business, like a rancher sizing up a rattler. "That house fund you saved, Anna could drain it clean if you don't act fast." I didn't hesitate, logging into the bank app, freezing the account with a few clicks, my heart pounding like boots on a barn dance floor. That fund was our future, my future now, and I'd be damned if I let her and Kyle touch a dime of it. The next morning, my phone lit up with Anna's number, her call coming like a vulture circling a fresh kill. I answered, bracing myself, expecting tears or an apology, but her voice was pure venom, spitting fire across the line. "Why'd you freeze the account, David?" she screamed, loud enough to rattle my coffee mug on the counter. "That's my money too. You're trying to screw me over, aren't you?"
I leaned back in my chair, the Dallas skyline gray through the window, keeping my voice cold as a January norther. "It's fair, Anna," I said. "The court'll decide what you get, not you and your jailbird boyfriend." She laughed, a bitter sound like breaking glass, and I could almost see her pacing whatever dump she shared with Kyle. "Kyle needs that money," she snapped. "He's starting a business, and half that fund is mine by right." A business? Kyle? The guy who'd beaten a man senseless over a bar tab was now some wannabe entrepreneur? I wanted to laugh, but the audacity burned like a brand on my chest. Her greed was as bold as a longhorn's charge. "I put most of that money in," I reminded her, my voice hard like the oak table where she'd confessed her affair. "You're not entitled to half, and the court'll see it my way. Kyle gets nothing." She went quiet, then exploded, her voice a screech that could have shattered a saloon mirror. "You're sabotaging us. You can't keep what's mine. I'll make you pay for this." The line went dead, but her threat hung heavy, like storm clouds rolling in over the Texas plains. I should have known Anna wouldn't stop there. Her affair with Kyle wasn't just love, it was a partnership in chaos. The calls didn't end, they multiplied, like roaches in a neglected barn, flooding my phone day and night.
First it was Anna, cursing me out, demanding her fair share, her voice slurred like she'd traded sweet tea for whiskey again. Then came strange numbers, friends, burners, who knew? Each one blocked, but they kept crawling back. I screened every call, my voicemail piling up with her rants, each one uglier than the last, like a coyote's howl at midnight. One slipped through, her voice low, dangerous. "You'll regret this, Kyle. Kyle knows how to get what's ours." Regret? I wasn't scared, but I wasn't stupid. I knew Kyle's rap sheet, his fists, his time behind bars. I called my lawyer, voice steady but gut churning, telling him about the harassment, the threats, the money they were chasing. "Get a paper trail," he said. "Record everything, and don't let your guard down. They sound desperate." Desperate was right. I could smell it like rain before a flood, and I started locking my doors tighter, checking windows at night. What I didn't know was Anna and Kyle weren't just talking, they were planning, their greed turning to something darker. My safe, tucked in my home office, held a crypto wallet with Bitcoin worth thousands, plus my granddad's heirloom watch, a piece of my family's heart. Anna knew it was there, knew its value, had even joked about it when we were still us, before Kyle slithered back into her life. I'd changed the code when she left, a small act of caution, but I never thought they'd stoop so low as to break in. Their affair wasn't just a betrayal, it was a heist in the making, and I was the mark. The storm was closing in, and I was standing right in its path, unaware of the lightning about to strike.
Some storms don't just pass, they crash through your life, leaving wreckage you didn't see coming. I'm David Turner, 35, in my Dallas home, late January 2024, still reeling from Anna's affair with Kyle, her parolee ex who turned our marriage to dust. Her threats, "You'll regret this, David," echoed like a coyote's howl after I froze our joint account, protecting the house fund we'd saved. I thought I'd locked out their greed, but Anna and Kyle weren't done. They were planning a strike that'd hit harder than a Texas hailstorm. It was a Saturday night, my buddy Jake's birthday, and we'd hit a Deep Ellum bar toasting with Shiner beers under neon lights. The night ran late, laughter drowning out my pain, but a few too many drinks left me in no shape to drive. Jake called us a ride, and 3 friends piled in, dropping me off at my place around midnight, the Dallas skyline twinkling like a false promise. As I stumbled to my door, the world tilted, not from the beer, but from the sight of my front door cracked open, wood splintered like a broken bone. My blood ran cold, sobering me faster than a dip in a hill country creek, my heart pounding like a stampede on the plains. I froze, staring at the scratches around the lock, knowing I'd secured it tight before leaving. No way this was an accident. "Guys, hold up," I called to my friends, still in the car, their faces turning grim as they saw the busted frame. "Someone's been in my house," I said, voice low, pulling out my phone to dial 911, my hands shaking like leaves in a norther. "Police, what's your emergency?" the operator asked, and I spilled it. My door forced, signs of a break-in, fear that the thief might still be inside. We waited outside, the night air thick with tension, my friends standing guard like ranchers watching for wolves. 10 minutes later, 2 cop cars rolled up, lights flashing like a bad omen, officers stepping out with hands on their holsters. They swept the house, flashlights cutting through the dark, while I stood on the porch, breath shallow, dreading what they'd find. "All clear," one officer said, his voice calm but clipped, motioning me inside to check for missing items. I walked through, heart still racing, expecting chaos, drawers dumped, valuables gone. But everything looked untouched, eerily normal. The TV was there, my laptop on the desk, even my cash stash in the kitchen drawer, all safe under the hum of the ceiling fan. Then it hit me like a Longhorn's charge. My safe, hidden in my home office, holding a crypto wallet with thousands in Bitcoin and my granddad's heirloom watch. I rushed to the office, my boots loud on the hardwood, and found the spot empty. Just scuff marks where the safe had been dragged out. "The safe's gone," I told the cops, voice tight, pointing to the bare floor like it was a fresh grave. It had Bitcoin, a watch. Anna knew about it, knew what it was worth.
The officer's eyes narrowed, pen scratching on his notepad as I laid it out. The divorce, Anna's affair with Kyle, their threats over the house fund. "Kyle's on parole," I added, my voice hard like Texas granite. "And Anna's been harassing me since I locked our account." The cop nodded, his partner already on the radio, calling in details about Anna and Kyle, their names now suspects in a felony. "Who else knew about the safe?" the officer asked, his gaze sharp like a hawk spotting prey. "Just Anna," I said. "She knew its value, but not the new code. I changed it when she left." "That's why they took the whole damn thing," I realized. "Their greed too clumsy to crack it open here." My friends, still on the porch, muttered about tracking Kyle down, cracking knuckles like they'd settle it old school.
"Let the cops handle it," I said, though part of me wanted to hunt them myself, like a rancher after rustlers. The police finished their report, promising to follow up, but their eyes said they already had a hunch where to look. As they left, I called a 24-hour locksmith, my friend Stan, till the new deadbolt was in, their loyalty a lifeline in the chaos. I didn't sleep that night, crashing at Jake's instead, the break-in replaying like a bad western in my head. The next afternoon, my phone buzzed. The detective, his voice all business, like a sheriff laying out a posse's plan. "We found your safe," he said, "at an apartment leased by Anna, half covered with a blanket, scratched to hell." My heart leapt, then sank. They'd caught them, but the damage was done, my home violated by the woman I'd once loved. Anna's affair with Kyle hadn't just broken my heart, it had landed them in cuffs, their greed a noose they'd tied themselves. But the storm wasn't over yet. Their reckoning was just beginning, and I wasn't letting go.
Justice doesn't always feel sweet. It's like a Texas sunrise, bright but hard-won after a long, dark night. I'm David Turner, 35, standing in my Dallas home, February 2024, watching the fallout from Anna's affair with Kyle, her parolee ex, burn their world to cinders. Their break-in, stealing my safe with Bitcoin and my granddad's heirloom watch, wasn't just a crime. It was their last desperate grab at what they thought I owed them. The cops catching them red-handed, the safe scratched but unopened in their dingy apartment, felt like a rope tightening around their necks. I got my safe back, my assets safe, but the violation of my home lingered like smoke after a prairie fire. At the police station, I confirmed the safe was mine, opening it with a single try, the watch glinting like a piece of my family's soul. The detective's voice was steady, like a sheriff laying out the law as he walked me through their arrests. "Kyle's facing burglary, possession of stolen property, and parole violation," he said, his pen tapping the report like a gavel. "Anna's being questioned. She might skate free, but her story's falling apart like a bad alibi." I nodded, my heart heavy but not broken, the weight of their betrayal shifting to something colder, harder. Days later, the detective called again, his tone sharp as a hill country flint, updating me on the case's twist. He said, "Kyle flipped, spilled everything to save his skin. Says Anna planned it, told him about the safe's value. She'd fed him the old code, thinking they'd crack it open, split the cash, and live some outlaw fantasy fueled by her affair. But I'd changed the code, a small act of foresight that turned their greed into a trap as tight as a lasso." Anna was charged, accessory to burglary, possession of stolen property, her name now tied to Kyle's rap sheet like a brand. I pressed charges, no hesitation, my lawyer's voice in my ear like a Texas preacher. "Let 'em face the music, David."
The case moved fast, like a Mustang bolting across the plains, both facing felony charges that could lock them away for years. Kyle's parole violation meant he was already back in jail, his changed man act crumbling like dry clay under boots. Anna made bail, but her silence spoke louder than her earlier threats. No more calls, no more harassment, just a ghost of the woman I'd loved. I saw her once at a pre-trial hearing, handcuffed beside Kyle, her eyes hollow, his smirk gone like a snuffed-out campfire. No pity stirred in me, just a strange relief, like shedding a snakeskin you didn't know you wore. Her affair with Kyle wasn't just a betrayal, it was a chain they'd forged, now dragging them both to justice's doorstep. Back home, I leaned on my friends, their support like a sturdy fence, keeping the wolves at bay. Jake, who'd stayed with me after the break-in, poured me a shiner and said, "You dodged a bullet, man. She's their problem now." My family rallied too. Mom's voice, soft over the phone, reminded me of Dad's old saying, "Cut the rot before it spreads." I'd cut Anna out, not because I hated her, but because I valued myself more than her poison.
The house felt less cold now, the echo of her absence fading like a bad song on a jukebox. I started cooking again, chili simmering on the stove, filling the air with warmth I'd forgotten I could make. Each day I rebuilt. New locks, new routines, a new me, tougher than the toughest Texas oak. Anna and Kyle's trial loomed, their fate sealed by their own hands, but I wasn't looking back. Their affair had cost them everything: freedom, dignity, futures, while I stood taller, scars and all. I wasn't just surviving their betrayal, I was thriving, like a bluebonnet pushing through cracked earth. Justice was coming, not with a bang, but with the steady grind of a Dallas courthouse, and I was ready to move on. The storm had passed, leaving me stronger, my roots deep in the Texas soil I'd always called home.
Some wounds don't vanish, they scar over, toughening you like Texas leather baked under a relentless sun. I'm David Turner, 35, standing in my Dallas kitchen, June 2025, months past the wreckage of Anna's affair with Kyle, her parolee ex turned partner in crime. Their break-in, stealing my safe, chasing money they thought I owed, wasn't just betrayal, it was their ticket to a cell, courtesy of their own greed. Now, with their trial looming, I'm not the man I was, broken by her lies, but stronger, like a longhorn standing tall after a stampede. Anna and Kyle's world crumbled faster than a West Texas shack in a dust storm, their affair a fuse that burned them both. Kyle's back in prison, parole violation and burglary charges piling high, his changed man act a joke as stale as day-old chili. Anna's out on bail, facing accessory charges, her silence louder than the threat she screamed over our house fund. I saw them in court, her eyes dull, Kyle's smirk gone, handcuffs glinting like the truth they couldn't outrun. No joy in their ruin, just closure, like locking a gate on a pasture you'll never graze again. My home's warm now, chili simmering on the stove, the echo of Anna's boxes gone like a bad dream. I lean on my friends, Jake's laughter filling my living room, my family's call stitching my heart back together. Mom's voice, soft over the phone, echoes Dad's wisdom. Cut the rot, son, and plant something new. I've planted. New locks, new goals, a new me, rooted deep in the Texas soil I call home. I started coaching youth baseball, kids' cheers drowning out the ghost of Anna's voice, their hustle reminding me life moves forward. Sundays, I grill with neighbors, Shiner beers clinking under the Dallas stars, my laughter louder than it's been in years. Anna's affair with Kyle wasn't just a knife, it was a mirror, showing me I deserved better than her poison. Their trial's coming, but I'm not waiting for justice, it's already here, in every step I take free of their shadow. Betrayal stings like a mesquite thorn, but you pull it out, keep walking, stronger for the pain. I'm thriving now, like bluebonnets pushing through cracked earth, my scars proof I'm still standing tall. If you've been burned by love gone wrong, know this, you're tougher than the toughest Texas oak. Cut the toxic out, let them drown in their own mess, and build something they can't touch. Has a breakup led to betrayal or crime in your life? How did you find justice or heal? Share below, like, and subscribe to my channel for more tales of heartbreak and triumph.